There are many benefits to a long life. You can share a lot of love in 90 years. You're universally adored by your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. But as was the case with my mother, time can take its toll on your memory, taking with it parts of your personality. Fortunately, Ruth Carroll had personality to spare. You could always count on her to light up a room with her mere presence. Her inner sunshine could not be contained. It was radiant on the outside, too. Those who only knew her in recent years, as an elderly retired lady, might wonder, who was she, really? 90 years ago, she was born to Grover and Minnie Norris, one of only 2 daughters in a family full of boys. The baby sister would someday be a beautiful young woman, growing up and working in the big city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The men would come a-calling, and by the early 1940s, she'd settled on one lucky guy. As Don Henderson told me just last week at Mom's 90th birthday party, we sure were pulling for Hoyt. Ruth was a city girl, and she was a good catch for him. Everyone who's seen these pictures, including my dad, always quickly agrees. They were married by a squire in Rossville, Georgia, a union that would last a lifetime. 2 little girls came quickly during those first years of marriage. First Brenda, then Elaine, better known as Little Bitty. Mom adored her daughters, and with Dad working long hours and repairing TVs on the side, there was a lot of parenting to do. As with any marriage, change would come. A few years down the road, I was born, with the fortune of a great mom and 2 wonderful sisters to look after me. By the 1960s, Dad had decided on a career change, taking over a country store and later building his own store. Mom put in as many hours as anybody, while continuing to cook the meals, wash the clothes, and clean the house. On top of all that, she was now a grandmother for life, which I suspect was her favorite job. After more than 20 years in the store, it was time to retire, and my parents made the most of it. The pace of life became a little slower, allowing time for grandchildren, soap operas, a little traveling, even dance lessons. My mother enjoyed her new role as a First Lady, accompanying her newly elected county commissioner husband on his political rounds. That part-time job became a full-time passion for Dad, but as always, she was at his side with a smile. Ruth Carroll made great cornbread, was always finding and wrapping Christmas presents up until the last minute, helped start a proud family tradition of usually running late, managed to grow up a lady despite living with a house full of brothers, and remembered the words to hundreds of songs, gospel and others, right until the day she died. Due to her long life, she'll be best remembered by many as a sweet elderly lady with the constant smile. But she was a lot more than that. A faithful daughter and sister, a devoted wife and mother, and a hard worker for her family, her church, and her community. She was a good role model and set a good example for those of us who follow in her footsteps.